Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. As always, an easy way to support the channel is by leaving a like or by commenting or by subscribing. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. I just woke up once again. I know I say that all the time. It's because I just woke up. So if I seem sluggish or kind of out of it, it's because my brain is still waking up. The news today is very, very weird. It's kind of, you'll see as we're actually going through it. For those of you not looking at the screen, it says Bitcoin hit $69,000 alongside rising US inflation rates. A lot of the news today has to do with not only inflation, the stock market, the rising costs of things, people moving into our market, people trying to figure out other ways to make money. It's a lot going on. A lot of the, if you even go to your local search engine and type in stock market, there's so many things happening at the exact same time. The Federal Reserve, the people who print the money in the United States, mentioned before earlier this year that inflation wasn't as bad as people thought it was. And then they announced, yeah, inflation is actually pretty bad, but they planned on tapering off some of the money or not giving away as much of the money that they had printed to put into other markets, what have you. This causes stock markets to actually fall quite rapidly because people into stocks, heavily into stocks, know that the main reason why the stock market is still up is because of fake money that's been printed since around 2009. It's been a very long time. Every time that there's been an indication that any Federal Reserve chairman, anything, has decided to not put as much money as they printed into the market begins to tumble. Part of the problem is that it's no longer just this printing of trillions of dollars. The issue that not even the issue. I have so many friends who aren't even into finance. Like they're not even, they have nothing invested at all. And they're telling me every single day about how bad inflation is. I'm talking to people in the States all the time, old friends, and they tell me like the cost of meat and the cost of this in supermarkets. And they're like, they can't actually believe it. One of them was telling me about a day or two ago that normally when they would go to their local supermarket and try to buy salmon, I think the normal price was $28, $30, $40 something per pound. I don't know the exact number of it, but apparently it's now 120 or something like that. So average everyday people are realizing this. At the time that this was really taking place, and this was really in the news sometime yesterday, Bitcoin's price skyrocketed to $69,000. We've been having the discussion amongst ourselves for a while that Bitcoin was going to hit 70,000, and we knew that when it hit 70,000, that was kind of the point of no return, if you will, as far as price discovery mode. When Bitcoin hits price discovery mode, basically sky's the limit until we end up hitting a certain level. We will fall back down and try to find a price bottom, at which point we go, okay, it can't fall any lower than this, and prices will begin to move back up. However, it says Bitcoin's price briefly takes $69,000 before plummeting back to earth. That is extremely dramatic. It's the same exact thing that we heard yesterday from many other news websites, news sources, not really sure what you want to call them. When Bitcoin and Ethereum yesterday fell by 1.5%, every website was talking about, woe is us, the cryptocurrency market is yada yada, and there was just a 1% drop. The drop this time has to do with the stock market dropping and many other. I'll show you the other tab just so we can finally actually get to that point. It says over $700 million liquidated in a day as Bitcoin's price dipped below $63,000. I think it hit $62,900. It is currently at $65,000, looking like as if it is trying to move up a lot higher. A lot of the altcoins have already recovered and are in a light green, if you will. And it appears as if Bitcoin and Ethereum are going to try to do the same. It says Ethereum corrects sharply. What could spark a fresh increase? This is not a correction. A correction implies that something is wrong with the price and needs to be corrected and therefore needs to be undone so that we can kind of continue moving forward from where we were before. This is a knee-jerk reaction to what's actually happening around the world. For some reason, a lot of people continue to believe that the US dollar is not inflating, or they simply believe what they hear in the news, or they simply think that the US dollar is going to be around for a very long time. I try to have, when I meet people, especially a lot of people, when they figure out in some sort of way that I'm into finance, like to spark up discussions with me, and I'm not sure why. I think they always want like a little tussle of words, if you will, like a battle back and forth so that they can try and trip me up. as far as like, well, I invest in gold, and I'm like, well, you're investing in the wrong thing. But gold is a lot safer. I'm like, I don't care what you think gold actually is. The same exact thing with many other investments. I've had people try to convince me that bonds, government 1% per year bonds, are better than Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency. Hello, friend out there. You'll know exactly who you are in a second. We were discussing the other day, even the worst performing cryptocurrency over the last year has risen by 300%. There is nothing else in any other market that is the worst performing altcoin that we had. Now imagine the best performing altcoins that we had in our market. These are not corrections that we're seeing. These are simply people, a lot of new people who've gotten into the market have no idea of the actual reason why we have Bitcoin or why Bitcoin is. And if you try to explain to them that Bitcoin is finite and Bitcoin is used to get away from inflationary currencies, they'll look at you kind of cross-eyed because they really don't simply understand exactly what's going on. A lot of the people who've gotten into our market over the last year and a half were people who are into stocks, and they sell off when they see that the stock market is falling because they assume that Bitcoin, as it has a price, is the same exact thing as the stock market, and therefore they also need to panic. It says Ethereum price prediction, Ethereum to continue rallying as bulls hold on to crucial support. Because I'm pretty sure a lot of people who didn't sell off were like, what's happening? Started buying up any coins that were falling during the dip. And this is why prices are already moving back up. On top of that, there was a lot of really weird Litecoin price prediction news, and I'm not really sure why. As far as I know or have seen in the news over the last 9-10 months, Litecoin has no major upgrades happening, going on, planned, scheduled, except for Mimblewimble, which hasn't happened. There was also something else that they were talking about doing, I think, for private transactions. Not a word about that yet either. This was one of 3 other articles that I saw talking about that Litecoin is getting ready for to try and push above 500. And I'm like, sure, why not? Not sure where you're getting those numbers from or where you think this optimistic movement of Litecoin is going to be coming from, but alas, here we are. So finally, as far as the stock news, it says stocks fall after hotter than expected inflation data. Once again, I'm not sure why people are surprised at this, and I'm pretty sure even the numbers that we've been getting, a lot of people have been calculating. I'm pretty sure you've seen this number yourself. It is believed that the current rate of inflation is above 6 to 7%. The normal numbers, wink, that governments tell us that they aim for per year are usually 1 to 2%. It is never 1 to 2%. It's usually 2.2 to around 3%, which is already completely detrimental. And the idea that the U.S. printed a large fraction of the entire U.S. dollar supply just between 2020 and now, and we are expected to believe that the inflation rate is only 6%, is absolute nonsense. I think this is why we've been seeing so many extra institutions and so many other celebrities and so many other people, probably advised by their financial advisors or whatever the actual case might be, getting into the cryptocurrency market. This is why we see such a huge push by banks who are talking about, well, I think Bitcoin's going to $146,000. Your belief that Bitcoin is going to go to $146,000 doesn't have to do with the fact that they believe in Bitcoin scarcity or how good Bitcoin is and to be fractionalized, to be shared around the world. It has to do with the fact that the US dollar is plummeting and will continue to do so, because the only way to save it right now is either to stop printing any US dollars. You cannot print anymore. This is it. We have to live with this circulating supply of US dollars for the next 5 or 10 years until we actually see this growing demand for the US dollar, the US dollar prices rise, or no, that's basically it. Or you continue printing as you've been printing, but the other dollars that you've been printing continue to lose value. And that's kind of just how it works. So on top of that as well, it says NASDAQ takes the brunt of spike in consumer prices. People are realizing it's no longer you going into a store and thinking that you're crazy, because this has happened to all of us. You walk into a store, you pick up something that last week was $199. You see it says $219 and you go, did this get more expensive? No, I must be thinking about something else. But when it's across the entire line and you realize that apple juice or orange juice is no longer $4.99 but $9.16 inside the store, you go, okay, something is clearly taking place. And to finish off all the price news that everyone keeps talking about right now, Evergrande, not sure what you want to call it. I've heard it pronounced many different ways depending on which news that you're actually watching. It says Evergrande is teetering on the edge of default as $148 million worth of payment falls due. Evergrande being the building investment real estate something company that was in China. We saw a crazy reaction a couple of months ago when we heard that they were defaulting. I'm pretty sure you saw all the videos online of people standing outside, quite angry because of everything that was going on. The entire idea has been that people expected the government to kind of step in and swoop in and save them. Because basically, if you haven't noticed, we are currently in an everything bubble. Real estate prices should not be as expensive as they are. It should not cost $1.2 million Canadian dollars for a studio apartment in Vancouver. These things should just not simply be. So the idea is that if Evergrande does collapse, fall apart, they default, can't pay their fees, fines, whatever, they are not the only company like this. And basically the dominoes begin to fall, and then we see the stock market crash that should have continued to happen until around 2011, but was stopped because of money printing. So this appears to be the reason, at least right now. I'm sure we're going to get some other news about in a day or two, because this is the way that it always happens. We always get relatively concrete news that the Bitcoin price fell because of stocks, because of what the Fed said, because of something detrimental that's happening in the market. But then like a day or two later, there's always some other analyst who's like, oh, well, I believe that it has to do with the fact that the sun went up over the moon before 4 a.m. and then therefore Bitcoin's price. And it's always some kind of nonsense, but other people end up believing it, and that's usually the really annoying part. So anyway, prices dipped. They're at the moment looking like they're moving back up. We are only 2 or 3% away from where we were just a day and a half ago. So, and without further ado, let's move on. Also in the news, Musky is apparently, or has apparently, sold $1.1 billion worth of Tesla stock. You might remember a couple of days ago, people were extremely excited because Elon Musk wrote on Twitter that he was thinking of potentially selling $10 billion worth of Tesla stock in order to put it into cryptocurrencies. I do not know or remember if he explicitly said that he was going to be putting it into Bitcoin, but alas, that was kind of the idea. And woe is us if he decides to put any of that money into Dogecoin, because Dogecoin would begin to skyrocket once again and people would begin to sing its praises of how amazing that it is. However, this was apparently done because he was obligated to do so. The filings show that Musk planned to sell the stock as part of his tax obligations back in September. He polled his 63 million followers on Twitter, asking whether he should sell 10% of his Tesla holdings, which means that he was obligated to do so in the first place. And he was asking people as if they were going to give him the extra push to actually have to do so. Of the 3.5 million respondents, almost 58% said yes. However, the Tesla CEO has sold just 1% in the sale and still holds more than 170 million shares. So, as far as I can remember in my memory banks, I am certain, or I believe from what I read, he was asking people, should he sell 10% of his Tesla stock to buy X, Y, and Z? I'm certain that there was a tweet that said, if the poll saith so, then I will actually do so. So we are going to see if he sells another 9% of the full 10% of his Tesla stock, and then exactly what he's going to do with it. Who knows? I'm not really sure what to even add on here, but this was very popular because he said a couple of days ago, he was asking people on Twitter, should he do this? And now he has done part of it. But for me, it seems a bit odd that he was obligated to do so, but he was asking people as if, he was really on the fence, but it was no, he had to do it because of taxes. Anyway, that's the Elon Musk news. Super popular, and let's hope he buys stuff because he has extra money now. So bye. Next up, the number of Cardano addresses staking the cryptocurrency has grown by over 100,000 addresses in just 2 months, as more investors are betting on the cryptocurrency and its ecosystem. As first reported by Finbold, that is Finbold, Data from Cardano, data aggregator Pool Tool, who makes all these names, shows that the number of wallets staking ADA has grown to 942,400 at the time of writing, up from 821,000 on the 10th of September. The same data sources show that there are now $54 billion worth of ADA staked across 2,931 pools, representing over 72% of the ADA supply. This is great. This is wonderful. I assume these numbers will continue rising. I know a lot of people, when we are discussing, once again, this is not financial advice. Please make sure that you do with your own money as you plan on doing, the whole spiel. A lot of people are really, they can't buy real estate. The nicest way of saying it. There's a huge dramatic difference of you trying to buy a property that costs $450,000 that may, if you're lucky, get you a 4 to 6% return over the course of the year. You having to take out a mortgage and pay this thing back over the next 10, 15, or 30 years. Or you about a year ago making a sizable investment, you now having enough ADA that basically provides you. I have a lot of friends who basically their goal was, and still is, to have passive income, whether it be from Ethereum or Cardano or some other staking coin. But the idea, I have two friends who are making currently around 500 ADA per month from staking. No. It's more than that. It's $1,500 equivalent of the actual thing. And they're able to live their lives with this money. So I assume if Cardano's price continues to rise, if this cryptocurrency experiment of ours continues to go in the right way, and if Ethereum also continues rising in price, this is going to be the new way of making money without actually having to work. So I think it's great for the network. I think it's great for Cardano. I think it's great if you've been in the market for a very long time or managed to end up picking up some Cardano when we were talking about it when it was 9 cents, because it is no longer 9 cents anymore. But this is the future. I foresee a future where there are going to be very few jobs. I think this is going to take a good 10 to 15 years to finally really settle in place as we continue to move to a hyper-automated world, because if you look at most stores, nearly everything can be done by computers right now. So anyway, that's off topic, but yeah, another 100,000 in 2 months. I assume by next summer, we're going to hear numbers of 1.5, 1.6 million wallets are going to be staking Cardano, especially as they have all these new fancy upgrades coming. And yeah, let's move on. In one of the most popular news stories of the day, I only have one tab open because Twitter will have a blockchain-centric unit focused on working with crypto, dApps, NFTs, and other decentralized technologies. Twitter is determined to boost the decentralized technology industry as it has created a dedicated crypto team focused on developing solutions for crypto, apps, and DeFi. Engineer Tess Renierson will lead the team. Before joining Twitter, Tess was involved in the development of Tendermint Core, also working with Chain, the Interchain Foundation, and Cosmos. So here's the tweet from her right here. Absolutely wonderful. This is, once again, the most popular news story of the day. I'm not really sure why, because we know that Twitter is obsessed, or rather Jack Dorsey loves Bitcoin. He has spoken many times about integrating Bitcoin into Twitter. We now, if I'm not mistaken, have Lightning Network tipping on Twitter. They've announced before that they're going to try and make Twitter actually decentralized at some point, so there's no head of focus when it comes to the entire platform. They've also announced before that they're looking to make it more dApp friendly, to be able to trade NFTs across the entire platform. But I guess because they've announced a team and have hired someone, that it's now becoming real. Twitter thus far over the last couple of years has been one of the very few companies who, when they say that they're going to do something, they actually end up doing it. I feel like Twitter is probably, once again, one of the very few companies that I think when they announce something, it's already done in the background. Anyway, so yeah, they're focusing more on crypto. I assume that there at some point was probably also going to be a Twitter coin. I hope that they never do that, because it's going to fail horribly, because you'll have to be on Twitter to be able to use it, and then they'll try and get SEC approval to put it on other platforms, and no one's going to want to use a Twitter coin on Instagram or any other thing like that. But yeah, fantastic news. I told you it was going to be a very weird news day. There's always like really odd things thrown in sometimes. And let's move on. And I knew that I wasn't going completely crazy when I kept on saying December. But alas, here is the actual news. It says Ethereum's network is ready for its next upgrade, one which is scheduled at block 13 million something or other. Developers and investors are keeping a close eye on the network in light of the fact that the proof of stake merge on the mainnet is fast, air quotes, approaching. Tim Biko, chair of the all-core devs at the Ethereum Foundation, stated that the Arrow Glacier upgrade is projected to take place on Wednesday, the 8th of December. Biko explained that the Arrow Glacier network upgrade changes the parameters of the Ice Age, or the difficulty bomb, and requires node upgrade by the 5th of December. Don't worry, none of you will actually have to do this. This has to do with cryptocurrency exchanges and other larger entities. Failure to upgrade to the latest version by the said deadline will sync the old client to the pre-fork blockchain. This essentially means that the old protocols will no longer support Ether transactions on the new Ethereum network. So it says, keep this event in mind. The date of the EIP 4345 difficulty bomb was pushed up. It says it was scheduled to go off in December 2021. It was actually meant to happen in 2018, but we're not going to talk about that. Then it was pushed to May 2022, and at the moment it's scheduled for June 2022. So basically the idea behind this is it's a way to de-incentivize, unincentivize, to make sure that people don't use the old chain. We've seen before in the past that when there's any type of a fork, a separation, or a potential whatever for a chain, there's always someone in the background who decides to come forward and stand on a podium and say, well, I believe that the other Ethereum is the actual real Ethereum, and I'm going to continue that chain. You always have about a good 500 or 600 people who believe them, because people always look for something to believe. They end up following this new chain. The chain ends up becoming big, yada, 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 and usually ends up faltering. Think about all the other 19 other versions of Bitcoin that there were. So the idea of the Ice Age is to make sure that when Ethereum merges with Ethereum 2, the merge, that any old chain that could result from the actual hard fork basically becomes impossible to mine off of. It's called the difficulty bomb, or the Ice Age. Think of the other chain simply freezing. You can't do anything on it anymore, so you are incentivized. If you want to continue making money, you have to join the actual merge. So it says, I think it says somewhere around here, apparently this has to happen, the merge to proof of stake has to happen before the actual Ice Age. So I've heard before, you've heard before in many different articles that we were hearing that the actual merge was going to take place in January. I feel like that's far too quick. This entire process has taken 4 to 5 years to actually implement and do. If we are looking at the next upgrade happening on the 8th of December, I'm going to assume we are not going to see the merge to Ethereum 2.0 in January. I assume it's going to be a March, April, May kind of thing, just cutting it really close, and June being the actual date for the freezing of the other chain. I know I wasn't going crazy because I kept on remembering the December date for the actual Ice Age. But alas, here we are now. So, yeah, I feel like this should have been more popular news. I think the actual concrete news that we are actually having the upgrades to move to Ethereum 2.0, it's quite significant, but Elon Musk selling his stock was clearly more important than anything else actually happening on a major network. Anyway, that's the Ice Age news. And let's move on. Next up in sure, why not, please go live your life kind of news. The Austrian government might equate cryptocurrency investments to stocks and bonds and impose a 27.5% tax rate on all of them. And I know my friend, the one who I was just talking about, the 300% per coin, just sucked his teeth. The Austrian authorities will reportedly tax Bitcoin and altcoins with the same percentage rate as mainstream stock and bond investments starting from March next year. Can anybody in the room tell me why that is nonsensical? Not only the fact that I will keep my opinions to myself. This is nonsensical because their next door neighbor, Germany, as far as I can remember, has a 0% tax rate if you hold your crypto for over a year. That's right, 366 days and you pay 0% taxes. Why would I remain in Austria to pay 27% when I can go next door to Germany? Even more so, anybody else in the room? Anybody else in Portugal? Portugal has a 0% tax rate for cryptocurrencies and also for foreigners. Google it, look it up. For 10 years, you pay 0% taxes. I don't understand. It's kind of like, remember when I think a year or two ago we had news that France, I think, was trying to tax crypto. They were thinking of them. I'm not sure if it went through. They were trying to tax crypto, I think 40%. I would take my passport, pack my bags, and simply go to Portugal. I'm not sure what these countries are thinking. Like, even if you had like a 12% tax, that's stomachable. Is stomachable a word? It's more palatable. I don't know what I'm trying to say. But yeah, sure. Please go for it. I would love to see how this works out. I think a lot of countries don't really understand how much money, or don't want to understand exactly how much money there is to be made in this market. So they simply, once again, you're equating currencies that are decentralized, that are not owned or controlled by any governing entity, as the same exact thing as stocks, because they just don't get it. But I also don't assume that they're going to get it. These are the same exact people who are printing tons of money, and they're like, this is fine. There's no problem. Meat is more expensive? Well, I mean, you just need to make more money then. Anyway, that's the Austrian news. I saw this and almost couldn't believe it, but then I was like, of course they're trying to make sure that they make tons of money. Because what else would you expect? Anyway, I'm excited to see in about 3 or 4 years, and I know it's going to happen. I give it 3 to 4 years. The news about how many people have left other countries to move to other countries that have a more favorable 0% tax rate when it comes to crypto. And to finish things off, it says, breaking, Coinbase to support Bitcoin ETF trading. Apparently, allegedly, we don't knowingly. The news is that Coinbase is trying to get approval to be able to list Bitcoin ETFs on their platform. The news being is that many different companies have been trying to list a United States Bitcoin ETF through the SEC since around 2015. The rumor then being, if Coinbase is trying to get support to be able to trade ETFs on their platform, well, gosh darn it, they must know something that we don't, and therefore a Bitcoin ETF is upon us. Nope, it's probably more so that many other countries have Bitcoin ETFs, and Coinbase is probably trying to figure out a way to be able to allow other people, because Coinbase is just not in the US, to be able to actually trade ETFs on their platform as well, as opposed to just doing it in Australia or in Canada or many other places. You can kind of pick and choose which Bitcoin ETF that you want. I think the most important part is that someone actually realized, they were like, everyone realizes that Coinbase has a 1.49% fee to actually trade, if this does go through, to trade ETFs on their platform. It's kind of like the news that we had before, and I tried telling people, and then people were complaining about it earlier this year. Coinbase has staking for a lot of different coins, if not nearly all the major coins on their platform. Some of them, they charge like a 25% fee. And the people were telling me, they were like, well, Coinbase is really easy to use. If you are comfortable with losing 25% of your money to Coinbase of what you just made, you probably should be using Coinbase then. Anyway, that's the Coinbase is apparently, allegedly going to support Bitcoin ETF trading. I wish them the best of luck. I assume that they didn't announce this, or this news did not transpire simply because, of speculation. I assume they have the required paperwork for this. I give it a week or two. We're going to start hearing that Coinbase is going to have an announcement that they're supporting Bitcoin ETFs, because you can't do it in the US, and therefore you can now do the one from Canada. You can have the blah, 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 other things like that. Once again, still nonsensical, because as it stands, if you are trying to get into Bitcoin, you should hold the Bitcoin yourself, or even have it on another platform, as long as you hold the actual Bitcoin. It makes no sense to buy a product that is based off of Bitcoin that is not Bitcoin if you're trying to get exposure to Bitcoin. Just buy the Bitcoin itself. Not financial advice, it's just more of logic. That's kind of how it goes. Anyway, that's that news. A lot of really weird, special news today. Not really sure where this world is going. I do not have my phone. I do apologize. I woke up and it had 0%. A little annoyed with that because it's going to take a while to actually charge. However, thank you very much to all my Patreon supporters. I will, no. I was going to say I'll double read them tomorrow, but I don't think my brain is actually up to that. Thank you to everyone who is a member of the channel, who clicked a like, who commented, who has subscribed, who's still here listening to me ramble on about this nonsensical news. At the moment, Bitcoin is currently at $65,526. It is down by 1.7%. Here's the really crazy dramatic dip, and here's the movement back up. We are only $3,400 something away from the previous all-time high. Ethereum is currently up by 0.45%, 0.47%. Like I said, it looks like the market is trying to move back up. I think Ethereum's all-time, what was it, like 4,900? We are not that far off. We'll see what actually happens as the day ends up going on. I would tell you to expect more fear in that. There are a lot of people who do not like our market. So just assume at some point during the day, you're going to see a lot of scary news articles popping up about Evergrande and about the stock market and about inflation fears and about a stock market crash, which is meant to get you to sell off your cryptocurrencies. This will be the third time we're having this discussion this year. I told you earlier this year, I said all the news that keeps on coming out is meant to scare you to sell off your cryptocurrencies. I'm pretty sure a lot of you thought I was completely insane. You sold off your cryptocurrencies and now you see the prices on the screen and you understand exactly what I was saying. How funny that all the exact same people who kept on telling us to sell our cryptocurrencies are now in the market as well. Chainlink is up by 6%. Algorand is up by 3.8%. Internet Computer is down by 7%. Anything like really, really down, they're all doing the exact same dip over and over and over. Helium, okay, see, logically Helium is up by 11 because it's helium. Loopring is up by 7. And Cardano, that sounds like a Pokemon. Cardano is up by 13%. Oh no, where's IOTA? Oh no, IOTA. Anyway, I do hope you all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening. Wherever you are, wherever you might be, I do hope that it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.